Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be making chocolate mousse. It's a super easy recipe. It's a recipe I made with my old pastry chef a few years ago. We're going to be putting all the ingredients and methods up here as we go, so you guys can follow along at home. So chocolate mousse, this chocolate mousse at least, is 3 parts. First is chocolate, which is going to be milk and dark that we're going to melt down. Second, which is going to be creme anglaise, which is a custard base. And third is a whipped cream that we're going to fold through at the end. Right, so for the chocolate, we're going to melt it with a bain-marie. What you want is you want a pot with some water in it, and you want a bowl that you can set over the top to put your chocolate in, and you can let it melt slowly. Always have an extra bowl that you can put ice in, and that will fit your original bowl in, so that if anything gets too hot, you can always just quickly cool it down. Second is everything you need for the creme anglaise. You need a small pot to heat up your milk. You need a smaller bowl for your egg yolk and for your sugar. You need a whisk and a small spatula. And finally, a sift is always good to have on hand. You need one last bowl to whip your cream in. And finally, we're going to need a mold or some cups to set our mousse in. Right, ingredients. So obviously chocolate, we have milk and we have dark. We're going to go with a ratio of 2/3 milk to 1/3 dark. It just adds a little bit of richness to that whole flavor. Okay, for the creme anglaise, we've got egg yolk, sugar, and milk. So each yolk of a medium egg is roughly 20 grams. So we're going to be using 2 or 3. 2, you'll stay safe and you're less likely to scramble. But if you use 3, you're going to get that really nice flavor from the egg yolk. Sugar, just regular old sugar. We want 25 grams of this. And milk, full fat milk, you want 125 grams of this. Lastly, cream. You're going to want at least 35% fat so you can whip it up to soft peaks. So I've got my chocolate here. It's fully weighed off. Like we said, 2/3 milk, 1/3 dark. I've just got here my big pot of water with a little thin layer of water on the bottom, just to steam up, so when I put this bowl on the top, it's going to melt down my chocolate, ready for the next stage. So after weighing out the milk, I realized that this pot was just a little bit too big. It was just a little bit too thin on the surface of the pan, and when we put the eggs inside, they might scramble. So I decided to go for a smaller pan so that we have a bit more depth in our milk. Right, okay, so now we're going to make our creme anglaise. We've got the milk heating up. What we want to do is that we want to add the sugar to the egg yolks. You just want to whisk it up a little bit. You don't want to do this too early on, because what happens when you add sugar to eggs, they already start cooking. It's the same as salt. Once you put salt in eggs, they'll already start cooking. So it's always good to wait until your milk is almost boiling to add your sugar to your eggs. Right, okay, so the milk is warm. We're going to add a little bit first to the egg so it tempers, which means that it's going to cook it out a little bit so it doesn't get shocked when we put it into the pan and it won't scramble. So at this stage, have it on a low heat, and then you can bring the temperature up. If you want to use a thermometer, you want to get it above 75 degrees, around 80. You will see it start to thicken eventually. Right, so now our custard is ready. We're going to pour it over now through the sieve, catching those little bit of eggs that catch on the bottom as you pass it out. Put that to the side, and we can just let this come together, melt down with the chocolate, and you'll see it will come together as a really nice silky texture. Right, okay, so parts 1 and 2 are now combined in the bowl. What we want to do now is take it off the heat to let it cool down. In the meantime, we're going to soft whip our cream. Right, so we're going to add this 500 grams of cream into the bowl, and now we're going to whip it up till it's soft peak so we can fold it through with the chocolate that we have. I have a machine from like the 1960s, I guess. This is actually my grandmother's machine, so. Right, okay, so we've had our chocolate sitting in a little bit of ice water. Now it's nice and cool. You can see it's like a really nice runny consistency. This is what we call ribbon stage. One thing I want to do first is make sure that my molds are ready for me, so I can put them straight in once I've folded through the cream. Right, okay, so this stage is really critical. What you want to do is you're going to want to fold in 3 parts. You're going to add 1/3 of the cream into your chocolate mix, and then you want to fold it in so that it makes the chocolate a bit more loose. It will allow you to fold in the rest of the cream without knocking out too much air and keeping it really nice and moussey. All right, so we're going to add here now, first, a little bit of our cream. We're just going to combine it so it comes together. Second part, add the 2/3 of cream. Now, if our mixture was too hot, the air in our cream would just die. It would never be able to get it to set the way we wanted it to set. So you can put this now into piping bags and put it into molds. I'm just going to put it back straight into this bowl here because it has a little lip, and I'm just going to pour it into my molds. I'm going to put some into these ones as well and just do a different version of the same recipe. Now we've poured it in, don't worry too much. If you've gone too high on the molds, take yourself a palette knife and you can just scrape them along and they'll kind of fill up all the others just nice. Right, okay, so the mousses are done. They're in their molds. Now we're going to put them in the fridge, or if you don't have the time and you want them done quicker, just put them in the freezer. I suggest that the ones in the silicone molds, you put them in the freezer anyway, because then they'll freeze up nice. You can pop them out, defrost them on the plate, and then you can just garnish them really well and they'll look super clean. You can even bake off some cookies, put the cookies out on a tray, pop the mousses out, put them on top of the cookies and let them defrost, and then you have perfect little bite-sized desserts. Whilst the mousse is setting in the fridge or freezer, we can talk about a few garnishes. Super easy one, granola. Most people have this at home already. It adds a much needed texture to the dish, and if you just hit it with some salt, it really balances out with that dark chocolate. Second is nuts. I have peanuts here, but honestly you can use any nuts. Just chop them up, keep them small. If you like them big, you can also leave them big. And lastly, cream cheese. Cream cheese is a really nice balancer with your chocolate mousse. Chocolate mousse is super rich, and sometimes you just want something to offset it, and it has quite a nice savory note that goes with it really nicely. Honestly, I'm probably just going to use all of these anyway. So let's go check on our mousses and see how they look. Right, okay, so the mousses are set. The ones I put in the molds, I've left in the freezer for a later date, but the ones I put in the little pots, I'm going to take them out of the fridge and we can garnish them up. So there we have it, a super simple chocolate mousse recipe with garnishes you'll find in just about any kitchen. Hope you enjoyed. Go out and make it. Send us some pictures if you want, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.